Hello, guys. This is Lydia, the lifestyle coach, ending eating disorders using nothing but our brain. And welcome to another live feed. So excited to chat with you guys today. So, you guys may have heard the term of beauty sickness. And this is a really important topic, especially understanding how that relates with how we eat and food. And I want you guys to know there's lots of good resources on this. I would encourage you go, look up TED Talks about beauty sickness. Like, this is a really great thing to look at. There's a lot of great content out there. But what I want to offer you guys today is a perspective of somebody who has had beauty sickness, myself, and who has worked with hundreds and hundreds of women who have experienced and overcome beauty sickness. And so you guys understand really how it plays into the way that we eat and how to recognize it. And we will go from there. So hello, guys. So fun to see you on. Feel free to do comments and hearts and likes and whatever you desire. It's so fun to have you guys on and just hear your amazing perspectives, because I know this is something that's a really common thread that a lot of times we don't think about until we have the awareness of it, right? So it's something where we think, oh, it's just us, and oh, this is just the way that I feel, or oh, this is just a normal way to feel. And then when we have language around something, then we can define it and then we can fix it. And so that's why it's really important to have this information out there. And that's what I want to offer for you guys today. So hello, welcome on. And let's talk about beauty sickness, really what it feels like and how it's related with food. So beauty sickness is where you have this preoccupation. You're having mental energy going toward sort of a constant monitoring of how you look, how you appear to others in the world. And, I've absolutely been there, and it's something that is hard to perceive until you're out of it. And so it's good to understand what it feels like when you're in it. So a lot of times we will intellectually know better, right? Like, we know the right answers. If you ask somebody, oh, how is beauty defined, or what's beautiful, they're going to give you a great answer that they might truly believe. It's like intellectually they believe, oh, beauty comes in all different shapes and colors and sizes, and it's something where it comes from within and all of that. But then beauty sickness is, although we intellectually understand that, we still act from an emotional in your bones place where we don't believe that. And a lot of that has to do with the society that we're in and the images that we see, right? So we may know the right answers. We may know that, oh, okay, of course, beauty comes in all shapes and sizes. And then we see the message that's all around us, which our brains pick up as a strong message. What we intellectually know isn't what we believe. So the belief comes from, okay, well, I think that beauty comes in all shapes and sizes, but I see no representation of a variety of sizes. Everything that is held up as a standard of beauty, whether that's the beauty industry, whether that's, the, models, whether that's advertising, whether that's, celebrities. Oh, I see almost zero examples of people who aren't in one very thin body type. Okay. And that sends a stronger message to your brain than any amount of, better. And what happens is that we start acting from that place, and we start measuring our own worth just because of the strong message of the images we see. It's very impactful on our brains with the visual messages that we get and the way that we just talk about beauty, right? So I'll give you guys an example, which I think is great because kids are just so incredibly honest, right? So my daughter, we have, conversations about this. This is something we're very open about. She knows that I've had an eating disorder. She knows that I don't anymore. She knows the kind of people that I help. We talk about body image. We talk about that stuff. So we did a film called Say Something New. You guys can see that at lydiavideo.com. But that's where we had some young girls, and we went through sort of a really cool discussion about body image. And one thing that I asked her when she was, just little, she might have been actually 7 at that point. But okay, so, what is beauty? Or we looked at some cartoons, right? We looked at some cartoon images, and all the cartoon images were a very anorexic type. They had the very large heads compared to the very just stick shapeless bodies, with, the shape of somebody who's very malnourished and in an anorexic style, anorexic chic, right? Like, we say, oh, it's not good to, be overly thin and to starve yourself. But every image that we see of beauty is somebody who is literally a starved look. And so we uphold that as beauty. So she knows the right answers, right? It's like, we've talked about this, she, and I think intellectually, was in a place where she's like, oh yeah, they're all very thin, and I don't see, any variety of body types. And I don't think that that's fair. And I don't think that that's nice, because there are lots of different kinds of bodies in this world. And then I asked her a question. I said, okay, and why do you think they do that? Why do you think the people who draw cartoons only draw very, very thin women. And she just simply said, oh, I guess they just want them to look better. So notice how intellectually she knew the right answers, but in a core level, the message was very clear. Thin looks better. Beauty is smaller, is thinner. And the opposite of that is the opposite of that, right? Everything negative, that's the thing to escape from. So these are messages that become very, very clear to us. So this is what beauty sickness feels like. It's when you're preoccupied with mental energy about your appearance and you're defining your worth by how you look. One way to just think about this is however you feel about yourself right now, imagine yourself either larger or not as traditionally beautiful, and just see how you would feel about that. If you woke up tomorrow morning 20 pounds heavier, if you woke up tomorrow morning without maybe some other traditional feature of beauty, how would you feel? And really just get in the core of like, okay, like how do you viscerally react to that? That's an important thing to look at. We're always thinking of ourselves in terms with beauty sickness of how other people see us. So think about the last time that you walked into a room of people. How much of your mind was taken up by how they saw you? What were they seeing? Is this something that you thought about? Okay, when you're sitting on a date with somebody or when you're sitting across from a friend, are you thinking of how your arms look to them, how your face looks to them, how your hair looks to them? Now, let's just take a population that doesn't suffer nearly as much from beauty sickness, which is men, right? So think about how a guy sits at a restaurant, right? He's looking out, he's having a conversation, he's thinking about other things, maybe he's doing something with his hands or he's running his hands through his hair, or he's, like, he's just living in the world and experiencing an experience instead of always having that mental thing running in the background of, oh, how are these people seeing me? Oh, do I look thin? Oh, do I look beautiful? Oh, do I look this way or that way? So think of that experience with how a guy might go and sit and feel on a date and how a woman goes and sits on a date. So that is an example of beauty sickness, is we're always thinking of how we're being perceived by other people. What is the image that they see? And we feel really uncomfortable if we aren't up to par with the things that we feel make us beautiful and have worth. So for instance, think of how you would feel if you went out somewhere without any makeup on. Is that something that makes you feel uncomfortable? Yeah, we'd probably look different. That's what makeup does. It adjusts how we look, right? But how scary is it for you? Is it just like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I just go out if I need some milk or whatever? Or is it something that is really a distressing thing to think of somebody seeing you without makeup first thing in the morning? Do you sleep with your makeup on if you're with somebody else? Is this something where you feel like you need to uphold? That's something to examine. And with thinking always about how other people are seeing us, it's also about trying to make our body look a certain way. So when somebody takes a photograph, how much are you trying to do the skinny arm, right? How much are you trying to look thinner? How much are you trying to be at the right angles so that what the camera is seeing is something that represents you at your very thinnest looking? Is this something where when you're sitting on a chair, you try to, flex your thighs so they don't squish out as much because you're trying to make them look leaner and thinner? Is this something where you go out to the swimming pool that you're constantly sucking in your stomach and you're having to do that for hours on end because you're so afraid of letting your own body relax when you're out at the pool? Are you only taking pictures when conditions are favorable, right? I mean, beauty sickness is not limited to those who just don't feel like they're beautiful. There are people who very much define themselves by their beauty. They're very affected by beauty sickness. There are so many people on Instagram with pictures of their abs that are only taken in the early morning when they've had nothing to eat all night long. And when they look the leanest in the morning, that's where they take the picture, when the lighting is just right. You don't see people take pictures of their abs right before they go to bed and after they eat dinner. It's something where we always try to control the image. We try to trick ourselves into thinking that we actually look differently than we do by never having an image captured as something that doesn't represent us closest to the privilege of thinness. And your body being an endless project. How much time do you spend trying to be beautiful? How much time do you spend looking up videos on beauty tips, trying to dress correctly, trying to manipulate your body with the way that you eat so that you'll look a certain way? And it also goes into being limited to what you do or where you go because of your body. Is this something because of how you feel that you don't go swimming? Is this something that, If I was fill in the blank pounds lighter, would you be doing those things? That's a great little test to see. Okay, what is a thing that you are avoiding because of the way that you look? If you were thinner, would you not avoid that thing anymore? Okay, that's something to examine. You're basing what you do and you're being limited by the way that you feel about your body. And also being disgusted or uncomfortable with other people's bodies that are larger. Is that something that kind of fills you with fear when you see somebody larger than you? Is it oh, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like them, where you might even feel bad about those thoughts, but it's something that is absolutely in your judgment of somebody else's body. So these are the things that you want to look for in this vein of beauty sickness. And it's something that absolutely keeps us from opportunities. It keeps us from happiness. It keeps us from being present in our lives. And it very much relates back into how we eat. So expectations of beauty and basing our worth off of that drive us to manipulate our bodies, or try to, with depriving food. Deprivation is the number one cause of eating disorders. And so what happens is we live in a society where there's this very big trend of like, okay, let's go ahead and eat less so that we can change our bodies. And then that turns into binging, and then it turns into, oh no, restricting. And then it turns into a cycle that is an eating disorder. And then eating disorders cause an even worse problem. Because when we are restricting, we're actually telling our body to slow our metabolism, telling our body to store more fat, telling our body to drive up our hunger and like get rid of our fullness signal. So we have this insatiable hunger. We're thinking about food all the time. We're binging, and we can just binge until we're physically in pain. And then we feel so panicked about that because the deprivation is getting us the opposite of what we want after a while. Then we go back into even more extremes, and the cycle gets worse and worse. So what has to happen is the cycle has to be broken. We have to rise above those expectations. And that's something that is literally a connection in your brain. It's wired that way for us to feel that way about our bodies. So you have to know how to undo not only that cycle, but remake a connection in your brain that serves you, that rises above the expectations and the oppression that society places on how women should look and how women should be and what women are defined in their worth with. And intellectually, a lot of times we understand this, and it gets so frustrating that like, I know better, but I'm still doing it. I know how to eat healthy, but I'm still binging. I'm an expert on this, but I'm doing the opposite. I could write a book on how to be healthy. I've studied so much on it, but I'm still doing the exact opposite, and I'm sabotaging myself. It's bridging the gap between what you know intellectually and what you're actually doing, what your actual behavior and what your actual emotions are manifesting as. And so that's exactly what we do. And if this is something where you resonated with more than one of these symptoms of beauty sickness and it's impacting your eating, then I want you guys to know that we've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people to help them to overcome these things so they can just be at complete peace with not only food, but peace with their bodies as well. To be able to walk into a room and be present and think about other people and forget about your own body. To not be preoccupied, that's living. Like, that's truly being present. That's happiness. It is a beautiful thing, but it's something that is a process. So if you guys want some help with this, if you've been trying on your own and you're not seeing the results that you want, you can book a free session with us at lifewithlydia.com/apply. Again, that's lifewithlydia.com/apply. And we're going to get you the foundation of freedom in about an hour for you to be able to truly fix this and know exactly what you need to do. But we're willing to take that time with you to truly understand what's happening so we know if we can help you or know where to best direct you so that you can be able to have that freedom that you want. So again, this is Lydia, the Lifestyle Coach, signing off. Bye, guys. Mwah.